how to use LinkedIn and Apollo.io to book an additional 15 meetings per month per account under management or per LinkedIn account. Hi, my name is Chris Casalino. I'm the co-founder of Uptown Creation, a B2B marketing agency. And today we're talking about two of my favorite tools. These are the tech stacks that we use for our current clients. And these are kind of the baseline tech stacks that I recommend for most B2B agencies. So we're going to be leveraging Apollo.io and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So those are kind of the two tools. You can use the free trial link to get a nice free trial of Apollo in the description below. And then as for Sales Navigator, you can use a free trial for that as well. So this is going to be a play that you can run for free to start off before you even need to pay anything. The pay plans end up being like 97 or 99 a month for Apollo and 97 for Sales Navigator. So two investments that, if you are serious about bringing in new revenue for your business, are well worth it. So that's kind of the tech stack that you need today to be able to take advantage of this video completely. So what I'm going to be showing you is the exact sequences that we use for ourselves as well as our clients to book 15 meetings per month and sometimes a lot more. The response rates that you're able to get on LinkedIn are upwards of 30% if you're targeting it in the way that I'm about to show you with a problem-oriented message. So I'm going to give you the exact templates. We're going to go through the sequences, and I'm going to show you just how to run this for yourself. So without further ado, we're going to start with the build out within LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Then we'll talk about the sequences that you can build within Apollo, and then I'll show you what a typical day would look like if you were to implement this strategy. Now, let me just show you this slide. So really what we're leveraging is LinkedIn kind of as the starting place for all these activities. Why LinkedIn? The answer is simple. It's because it has the highest response rates because you're able to target the most active people. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And then Apollo is filling in the gaps of LinkedIn. One of the downsides of LinkedIn is that it's not really easy to keep track of new connections, messages being sent, where somebody's at in a cadence, and ultimately who has actually booked a meeting. A lot of times people with cold outreach will say, yeah, let's book a meeting, and then you'll have to follow up 2 or 3 times to book a meeting. Or they'll say, follow up with me in a week or two, and you need a way to really set tasks to be able to keep track of that. We used to just use LinkedIn by itself. When we added Apollo on, our results kind of skyrocketed from there. I also recommend a meeting link. You can use this with Calendly. I know there's some open source tools. We use HubSpot for ourselves, but really it's kind of, you have the pick of the litter. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Let's talk about what needs to be built out here. So the goal of LinkedIn Sales Navigator is going to be, this is where we find the people that we're entering into our pipeline. And then we'll have some plays down the road for messaging on LinkedIn, messaging via email, and even some cold call steps that can get you way above the 15 meetings per month if you're willing to put in some additional work. So there's 2 saved searches that we create for all of our clients and that we'll be creating for you today. Now, the first one is going to be this A connection requests saved search. The goal of this is going to be, this is where the new leads are going to be funneling into. So what you'll notice here is that I have this recent updates filter posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days turned on. This is imperative to get up to 30% response rates. If you aren't targeting these active people, you're going to see closer to a 5 to 10% response rate. And the reason why is pretty simple. It's that these are the people actually using LinkedIn. So you can see this total pool of people is about 3,500 when I'm targeting kind of these demand gen, business development, marketing, sales titles. But when I turn this posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, it goes down to about 1,000 people. So it's about 25-30% of the total pool of people, but this is where I want to focus my attention. Since LinkedIn, we're limited to 200 connection requests per week and about 800 connection requests per month, which ultimately will get us about 280 to 300 new leads that we're entering into this pipeline. 800 leads total if we're including the emails that I'll show you in a moment. So we need to build out kind of this targeting list first and foremost. So what you're going to be doing is entering in the job titles as well as the geography and then preferably an industry. I have some videos going really in depth into targeting. I don't want to take too much time to go into the nuances of it, but I did want to call out this posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. Now, we're going to be leveraging lead lists to keep track of all of these. So what you can go ahead and do right now is build a lead list called connection request sent. And then just while we're here, we're also going to add in a message sent. So those are two lead lists. And then if we go back to our saved search that we're building out, you'll be able to see that we can exclude some of these leads. So all of our saved leads, we're going to exclude those people. And what that's going to allow us to do is as we go through and send connection requests, those people will automatically get taken out. But then I'll show you the next saved search. So saved search number 2, that's going to really sort out the new people that have become a connection request but not received a message yet. So going over to Apollo, let me show you kind of the first sequence that we have. So this is a connection request sent sequence. So what we have here is an email going out on day 15, day 16, and day 19. The reason that we have that is we want a little bit of time to pass. So if somebody actually responds on LinkedIn, then we won't kind of waste that email being sent. So I'll show you the copy just so you can get an idea. You can, rewind this video and take notes of it. The key points to point out are going to be, we're starting with a pattern disrupt. So we're not starting with hi name, hey name. We're not starting with anything that's going to look similar to what's already in your inbox. So step 1, start with a pattern disrupt. Then we're leading with what we call a problem-oriented statement. So we want to be really specific with addressing the elephant in the room. Why are we reaching out cold? Why are we talking to them? Now, this problem statement is going to be kind of the driver of results. Throughout the first 45 days, you might have to test a different iteration of this over time. But this is what I tell people: either if you nail it, you're going to get tons and tons of responses. If you flop on it, you're going to hear crickets. So this sentence becomes really important because this is where you're kind of building that curiosity to get somebody to say yes to a call to action. In this case, we're saying I'm chatting with some VPs of sales that know their team should be doing more on LinkedIn. Then we go into a solution result statement. So we're partnering with LinkedIn to help B2B sales teams book more meetings, close more deals. And then call to action. Would it be all right if I shared a few ideas to get your team really maximizing LinkedIn as a sales tool? So this is email number 1. It's going to be very similar to the first message that we would send out on LinkedIn. So I'll show you those in just a moment. Email 2 is going to be kind of this forgot to mention statement. So forgot to mention, and then a case study of somebody that you have helped. And then last but not least, kind of a breakup email. In 2024 and beyond, I wouldn't go past a 3 email cadence. And honestly, that's even kind of pushing it. Some 2 email cadences are working really well, but it's a balance between not getting reported as spam, landing in the primary inbox, and that's really the game that you're playing and why we use a LinkedIn first approach versus cold email by itself. So I show you this sequence because now you'll be able to see how we're going to add leads from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So you need the Chrome extension for Apollo to be able to do this, and you'll see that it shows up on the right-hand side of your screen. But what you're going to be doing when you have this active targeting list is you're going to be selecting all, and that just takes a moment. Then we're going to save these people to a connection request list. You can only save 1,000 leads to each connection request list, so that's why I have a couple of them. But we're going to go ahead and save them to connection request sent 3. And then go down the line and send a blank connection request. So we do not want to include a message here. That's what's going to further increase our connection acceptance rate. As kind of a benchmark, you want anywhere from 30 to 40% connection acceptance. If you're getting lower than that, then either something needs to change on your profile or you're not targeting the most active people. So we're going to go down the list and send these invitations out. I'm only going to send out 3 right now, but then what we're going to do when we reach the bottom of this page is use this Chrome extension to add these to a sequence. So I'm going to go ahead and I made mine private so they're not showing up right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add them to the Connor Paulson, who's my business partner, connection requests. And then from there, they'll be added into the cadences for us to be able to work those leads. Since we're just adding them into this cold email sequence, what's going to happen is if we don't receive a response within the next 15 days, they're going to start receiving these cold emails. For anybody that does reply, they're going to get taken out of this cadence and entered into either a positive, neutral, or negative response sequence that I'll show you in a moment. So we go ahead and we send those connection requests to the most active people within our ICP. Now, I talked about a second save search. This one's really easy to create, but this is what's going to allow you to see who has connected back with you. What we've done so far, just as kind of a recap, we've gone ahead and we've built out a lead list within LinkedIn Sales Navigator that allows us to save leads to keep track of them within LinkedIn. Then we also created a sequence within Apollo for anybody that we're sending a connection request to. So regardless of whether they accept that connection request or not, they're going to be entered into an email cadence to take advantage of the full 800 people we're sending connection requests to each and every month. We built this targeting list with active targeting focused on the most active people, and then we sent connection requests and added them into our cadence within Apollo. That's just the email cadence at this point in time. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and build this B send messages. So this is a really easy saved search. And what you're going to put is connections as first degree connections, and then lead lists, you're going to add that connection request sent list. And then you're going to exclude anybody that received a message. So what that's going to do now is these will be all of your new first degree connections from that list that we just worked off of. It's a really easy way that you can just kind of come into Sales Navigator for the day and go to your saved searches, go to B send messages, and know exactly who needs to receive a message. Similar to how we added people to an Apollo cadence when we were sending the connection request, we're going to do something very similar here. And so I'll show you this second cadence and sequence that's built out in Apollo. So this is going to be Chris Cozzolino, LinkedIn new connections, and it's 7 steps. So this is a pretty aggressive campaign. We're sending 5 LinkedIn messages over the course of 35 days with 1 cold call in there. So what we're actually leveraging is that first sequence that I showed you is just strictly a cold email sequence. Regardless of whether somebody accepts a connection request or not, they're going to continue to receive those cold emails. So that's kind of how we're having these omni-channel touch points. So somebody that would have accepted a connection request would receive these LinkedIn messages. On day 8, potentially a phone call, and then also the emails that are going out in accordance. So let me go back to LinkedIn and show you how to leverage this B send messages list. So similar to how we sent connection requests, we're going to do the same thing here, except what we're going to do is we're going to add these people to a lead list within Sales Navigator. So we created that message sent list right here. So we're going to add the leads there. And then we're also going to come here and hit add to sequence. And then in this case, I would add it to this Connor Paulson LinkedIn new connections. And that's going to put the leads into this sequence right here. It's very similar to the messaging with cold email. And the reason for that is because the whole point of cold outreach and an omni-channel approach is you're really trying to capture somebody's attention. If they miss a cold email, we want to be able to send similar messaging within LinkedIn and then even on a cold call script to be able to get enough curiosity to get a response, because that is ultimately the goal of cold outreach. So I'll show you the message that's working really well. This is actually getting a 35% response rate on the first message that we're sending out, which is absolutely insane when leveraging a strategy like this. The day 3 message is going to be one of these similar forgot to mention messages where we either share a case study or some insight that they might not have heard before. Day 7, really plain and simple, a thoughts first name with a question. Then we have a cold call step, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. And then we hold off for about 20 days. And the reason for that is I don't want to bombard people too much. I want to make sure to get enough volume out that we give ourselves a fair chance. And if somebody was out of office, we're able to capture their attention. But I also want to make sure that, we don't burn the lead within the first 30 days, since LinkedIn is a long-term kind of audience building play to get the best results. So day 28, we have one of these. It seems like your target market's pretty active on LinkedIn. This is where I would try to send a message that's going to not only build curiosity, but get somebody excited about an opportunity that they might be missing out on. And then day 35 is a pretty typical kind of breakup message, breakup email. And then lastly, this is one of my favorites, is on day 36, we're actually sending a voice memo. So you can only do that via the app on your phone. Next to nobody's doing something like that. So, if you get ghosted for 35 days and then you go into somebody's primary inbox on LinkedIn, what's actually going to happen is it'll be a brand new thread, so they won't see the previous messages, and it'll be almost like you were reaching out for the first time with a really unique strategy. The reason why I put this at the end is just to kind of gatekeep people's time. But you could put this earlier in the cadence if you really wanted to, and you're trying to maximize this for all that it's worth. If any of this information has been helpful so far, please consider subscribing and liking this. It really helps us a ton. So we built out 2 saved searches within LinkedIn, and a connection requests saved search that we can work off of and start our days with, that are going to have the most active decision makers within our ICP on LinkedIn. And then we built out a B send messages saved search. By leveraging those 2 saved searches as well as lead lists within LinkedIn, we're able to keep track of all of these leads across kind of this pipeline that we're building in LinkedIn. And then we're leveraging Apollo to enrich email addresses, enrich phone numbers, as well as put some structure after an initial message has been sent out. So up until this point, you can use LinkedIn for most of this stuff. What you can't use LinkedIn for is to add email and cold calling on top of a LinkedIn strategy, as well as the ability to keep track of messaging and responses as they come in. So what I'll go ahead and show you now in Apollo is how we route people once they respond. So using my contact record just kind of as an example. So you can see email address, you can see phone number, all these great things. There's a contact stage, and you're able to build out plays within Apollo, which is for another video, but these are automations that you can set based on contact stages. So what we have set up is that we're able to address the sentiment, whether a message is either a positive reply, a neutral reply, or a negative reply. And then based on that, we're going to change the contact stage, and then that will automatically route somebody into the next sequence. And what I'll show you is anytime that somebody responds positively, we're going to send over a message with a call link to book a time, but that's not always going to get somebody to book a meeting. So if they don't book within 48 hours, the first thing we're going to do is give them a cold call. You'd be amazed by how many additional meetings this ends up booking. I'm not sure how many people have experience of somebody saying yes to a call, but then you kind of hear crickets. While you're able to capture that attention early on, if they don't book a meeting, just giving them a call and trying to get that meeting closed on a cold call is one of the most effective methods. So anytime that somebody responds positively, whether it's from cold email or whether it's from LinkedIn, they're going to get added into this cadence, and it's going to be a 10-day, 5-step cadence where we're going to continue to follow up with somebody until we get a meeting booked or a no, and then we'll reroute that person based on the latest sentiment, so to speak. So Apollo is extremely effective for all of the work that happens after an initial connection request and an initial message is sent on LinkedIn. The power of using LinkedIn Sales Navigator is really to take advantage of the activity level of somebody. Now in Apollo, you can do similar searches to Sales Navigator. What you can't do is see if somebody's active on LinkedIn. So what you'll be able to do is you can get, a ton of ICP qualified leads, but the superpower of LinkedIn is that since you're limited to 200 connection requests a week, 800 connection requests a month, you want to hyper focus on these most active people so you can have the opportunity to book meetings, but also build this longer term audience. Now, as you can imagine, if you're gaining, anywhere from 250 to 300 new connections each and every month, after 6 months, you're looking at about 2,000 new connections And the beauty of that is they're going to be able to see your content organically, but you're also going to be able to send messages. So if you wanted to sit down one day and send out 2,000 messages, that's completely and totally possible. And that is why we recommend anybody building a go-to-market strategy and an outbound strategy should have LinkedIn high up on the cadence for the best leads that exist in your target market. Hopefully this was helpful. There is a free trial link to Apollo in the description of this video. Leveraging Apollo with Sales Navigator is the best play for anybody that's targeting a B2B market. Hopefully you give this a shot. Hopefully it gave you some value. If it did, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to this channel.